Well, good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Out. Well, 10 minutes here on YouTube, and then we'll be moving over to Odyssey in about 10-15 minutes from now. My name's Tom Luongo. It is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. You guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, do the thing. I don't really care. Hey, everybody, how are you? Sorry that there was no live stream last week. I just couldn't be arsed to fucking do one. That's just the way it is at this point. I'm actually really thinking about, I don't know whether or not I'm going to change the live stream schedule from Tuesdays to Fridays. I haven't decided yet. I don't know. We'll see. Good to see people in the house. Good to see you all here. Tonight's topic, I think, is going to be, it's about Emmanuel Macron, because that's kind of what I titled the damn thing. It's what it is. It's what we need to talk about. So, yeah. So about those French people. So all of a sudden, the globalists in Europe are now claiming that France is ungovernable because they can't automatically get their way. I want you to let that sink in for a moment. That they can no longer just rule autocratically, and therefore France is now officially ungovernable. Because, well, you know, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who don't believe that the people should have any say over what the government does. They should just, y'all should just, you know, sit back and take it, like, because, well, you know, they said so. So I find it really hysterical that they lose one tiny part of their election process. And they're so fragile. Their systems are so fragile that France is now ungovernable. The amount of, I don't know, pussydom exuded by these people. We're dealing with feckless Europeans, so it's not like there's a surfeit of macho running around here. Is just astounding. And the whole thing is just astounding. So, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, French President Emmanuel Macron did win re-election, but he couldn't win a legislative majority. The French parliamentary elections were held over the weekend, and the parliament's a mess. His coalition only got 245 seats. They needed 289 or something like that, somewhere around 290 to get a majority. I don't know French politics that well, and I don't really need to. I know because most of the time they're really fucking boring. The people don't like what the French government does, and the French government doesn't care. That's pretty much been French politics for, I don't know, most of my life. But today, arch globalist Emmanuel Macron, ex-Rothschild banker Emmanuel Macron, is now staring at not having a parliamentary majority in France. Because Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the kind of the traditional left, and mostly traditional anti-globalist left in France, as opposed to Marine Le Pen, who would be considered the anti-globalist right, well, they took almost as many seats together as Macron's party did. Now, Mélenchon and Le Pen hate each other, which is the reason why Le Pen is not president today. And the interesting part about it, I was just, you know, getting caught up on RT before I was, you know, reading dissident Russian news to actually get fucking information about this. That she took that, you know, her National Rally Party went from something like 3 or 6 seats, some single digit number, to 89 seats. She took seats that are traditionally hard left. The map in France at the parliamentary level was ridiculous. So all it tells you is that this is the last globalist government that's going to exist in France. I don't even know if Macron makes it through the entire session. Like, I don't know at this point, because they don't know what they're not going to be able to legislate like they normally do. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch it happen, because it seems that, finally, one of these freaking European countries, finally, did something right. Like the last time they did something right was the Italian elections in 2017, right? But that's been completely and utterly co-opted by the globalists there. We've got Mario Draghi running the show in Italy, and a caretaker government, because none of the parties can actually figure out how to, govern, because they should have went for elections 2 years ago and they didn't. But Davos has got a freaking agenda. They need to ramrod through everybody's everybody's life. So this is what's going to happen. But now they don't have control over France. I spoke with Alexander Mercouris of the Duran over the weekend. We did a thing with Crypto Rich, and I'll post that interview on my blog over tomluongo.me tomorrow, maybe Thursday. I'm giving it a couple days to eke out, and then I'll put it on my blog eventually. And he and I were both of the opinion that, being less so than Alex, certainly, that there's a real problem in Germany, that the government in Germany may not survive. It's a very weak coalition. Well, Macron is in a really now very weak position, because he might not be able to get anything legislatively through. He used to be able to just ramrod whatever the hell he wanted. COVID passes, sure. Green passes, sure. Beat people in the streets and hit them with water cannons, sure. Whatever they want, whatever he wanted, whatever he asked for, he got. And now all of a sudden, it doesn't work that way. Now he's actually got to go and govern. He just doesn't get to be king. Let them eat water cannons, I guess, is how it works in France recently. And I don't know if this is, I'm seeing a lot of comments and I'm glancing at your comments as I do this, and remind, we are going to be moving over to Odyssey in a few minutes. I'm just waiting for the stream over there to get fully up, and it's ready. So here's the link. We'll be moving over here to Odyssey. It's in the chat, and someone else wants to make sure that makes it into the chat itself. That would be good. Make a comment under this video, put it there. Because first, if anybody makes it over there, because I don't really care. Sorry, I just don't. So, whether or not France is going to be the spark that destroys the EU, we got a lot of other issues here. They're going to keep this thing together with spit and baling wire for as long as possible. But we know that Europe is in serious trouble since, the Fed just raised interest rates by 75 basis points and now is forcing Christine Lagarde to finally, maybe, I don't know. We'll think about it on any given Thursday. We might actually have to raise interest rates at some point, but, we don't really want to, we don't want to get crazy here or nothing. So, because negative interest rates have worked so well in Europe to, destroy what's left of the middle class there. But, the situation with all three of the major governments in Europe is a real big deal. It's immense. And so I find it really interesting that I'm glad it worked out this way. I mean, I wasn't seriously bummed out that Le Pen didn't win, because I didn't really expect her to. But I really would have liked to see an upside surprise where the French left voters finally got over themselves and did what they needed to do, which is just get rid of Macron. And then they could have given the presidency to Le Pen. She would be just as weak, if not weaker, than Macron, and everything would be fine. And we'd be in roughly the same position we're in today. But at the very least, there's no globalists at the top. So, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But, it's obvious now that Jean-Luc Mélenchon is kingmaker, and he has the whip hand over Macron in this new government. And that's going to be a much, much different situation, which is why Mélenchon did what he did. Because he wanted to make sure that his party got enough seats that Le Pen, if she had won the election, could have easily walked into Parliament with enough with a potential majority. Because once people got over the idea of Le Pen as president, the possibility of her, she took almost 90 seats. I mean, could she have taken another 200? It's possible if she had won. So I think that's why, there were deals made between the French establishment. And I think that, they were obviously hoping that Macron would be able to pull out some kind of majority here. But, he's 50 seats short. He's not even close. So he's got nobody to work with. Because there's no minor party that he can go, there's no other minor parties left that he can actually work with to get anything done. Because everybody else fucking hates him. So it's going to be very interesting to watch this play out from here. So again, we're going to move it over to Odyssey in a couple minutes. I just found it really, really interesting that we have, no matter what Davos tries to do, the longer they continue to try and push this dead whale called the European Union and their Great Reset up the fucking beach, uphill up the beach, it's really not working for them. The euro is falling every day versus the ruble, while everybody in Europe tries to figure out how they're going to pay for energy this fall. Germany is actively now saying, we are going to hoard all the gas that Gazprom gives us. We're not going to sell it we're not going to redistribute it around Europe. No, that was said by the German energy minister, Robert Habeck, who we want to watch very closely because that guy's the next Führer. And yes, I'm invoking Godwin's fucking law because the Germans are rapidly turning into a rank autocratic society. There's a great article I read this morning. I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was on Zero Hedge, actually, about what is being pushed through the German legislature to the point where they're going to have pretty much autocratic rule to just declare anybody an enemy of the government that they want. If you speak out against government policy, you just, be taken to a hole somewhere. Well, guess who's pushing that through? Guess who will make sure that gets through the German upper house? They've mentioned many times. The Greens, who control 41 of the 69 seats, even though they're a minority government in every one of those state governments. Because of the way the German Bundesrat works, all states have to vote as a bloc, not based on members of the Bundesrat do not vote individually; they vote as a bloc. So now the Greens have a majority, and they're going to do Davos's bidding all the way down the line. So very, very dangerous situation that's brewing in Europe. Davos is getting what they want. They've done away with democracy now. In Germany, they've done away with democracy in Italy. They've done away with democracy for the most part in Spain. And with the European Union bureaucratic overlay that they have, France, even though this has happened in France, I don't really think that it makes that much difference in the end. How this is going to play out. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse until Europe collapses. And so I just saw from Second Horizon, the German Greens are incoherent. No, they're not incoherent at all. They're absolutely, completely, utterly coherent. They're not Greens. They're globalists. So we have the Germans coming out, the German Greens coming out and saying, to fuck Russia, we will burn coal until we no longer have to burn anything else. Like, they don't have an answer for anything. They're not going to turn the nuclear plants back on. Now they're going to burn coal for the rest of the friggin' decade just to, cut off their head to spite their body. Okay, where are you going to buy that coal from? You're going to have to import it. Doesn't come from the Donbass anymore. Doesn't come from the Russians anymore. There's not enough coal in Europe to fund to run German industry. But then again, they want a deindustrialization of Europe anyway. So it's not incoherent at all. Their goal is the destruction of the middle class. Their goal is the destruction of the last vestiges of capitalism within European society. And they want to export that model to the rest of the world. And anybody who's not willing to, be down with the fucking Comintern, needs to be gassed. That we're not that far away from this. I really do believe that these people are that close to just disappearing people in the middle of the night. I don't think we're that far from it here in the United States. I think we're only 2 or 3 steps away from it here. So, hey, enjoy your European project. But this is what you have to, this is, what happens when you allow yourself to believe that you're superior to everybody else. And, and you can, and because of that, you can just ignore human behavior, ignore the second law of thermodynamics, ignore Gibbs free energy equation, ignore everything about how the world actually operates. You don't need to worry about such things as, like physics. Fuck physics. We can rewrite the laws of physics. We're communists. Well, okay. If that's the world you want to live in, we're not going along with you. And then, that's what the Fed said last week, and I'm cackling. So, all right, guys, let's cut this off. I'm done here for now. Why don't we move over to Odyssey? I'll be over there in about 3 or 4 minutes. I got to pick music and, rejigger OBS, and then we'll do that for about an hour or so. All right. I'll be back soon. But this was fun. You guys be well. You take care. We'll talk soon. Hey, we'll talk in about 10 minutes on Odyssey. And if not, for those of you who don't want to go to Odyssey, I'll see you in a week or two. Take care. Keep your stick on the